Hello there, it's me, Rama, with the UE5 update of the Rama Melee plugin. As you can see, first and foremost, I now include the numbers of the shapes and bodies. So in the colon, the first number is the body index, the second number is the shape within that body. So they're all 0 because there's only one body. And then you can see that shape number 2, the last shape, is the handle. The first two shapes are the parts that we want to do damage. Again, if you're new to this plugin, the main idea of this plugin is that you can actually, with just a single physics body asset that you can construct as you wish to, decide exactly which parts of the weapon should do damage, which is something that can be very useful when you have a handle that's very long, like this, or especially this, and you only want to track if the tip does hits. Now, something about the display that may not be obvious is that when I swing, you see that arc there, those are actually continuous sweeps. I don't draw a continuous shape, but I'm showing the start and end positions. So those are actually, this is actually along the horizontal swing, those are continuous motions. Now, one thing you may have noticed, and that's one of the reasons I'm doing this video, is that periodically you've seen a little spark go off and the parts of the weapon disappear and then reappear. That is not something that's under my control. There's something not quite right in the chaos engine of UE5 currently because it's threaded and something is happening. The shapes are periodically disappearing from the component and I'm having to recreate them. I think it has something to do with the fact that I'm accessing the shapes, supposedly a read-only operation, but something's happening, and so sometimes you see a little spark go off and then the shapes get recreated, and it seems to happen fairly randomly. It's not under my control. I could have simply not updated the plugin if I was to be terrified by this particular issue, but I refused to give up. And as you can see, it took quite a while for me to figure it out. This is my fix, because I'm trying to determine when the shapes go invalid, when they disappear, because I was getting a crash. And I fixed it by eventually figuring out how the Chaos Engine works well enough to get through an issue with the way the code is currently written, which prevents me from intervening, which is getObjectChecked is the default implementation when you are trying to get the shapes. So when you run the code, if you're into C++, you'll love this part. If you're into the code, I'm using execute write, trying to just read the shapes. Get all shapes is supposed to be read-only. Sometimes I think it causes the data to have to be recalibrated within the other thread. I'm not sure what's going on. All I know is I couldn't fix it because the very act of first getting the shapes and then trying to access them, trying to say, okay, this is a sphere, get the collection, would crash because it's using getObjectChecked, which insta-crashes, that's what check means, make sure the data is valid, but that gives me no opportunity to intervene. So what I wanted was getObject, but that doesn't exist. You can't just get getObject from the collection. So, attempt 347 on my part, I managed to figure out that I should just use the shape handle directly. This is a shape handle, you can see over here, physics shape handle. This is all Chaos Engine stuff. This has nothing to do with NVIDIA's physics engine. This is all UE5's custom engine, and I get the implicit object of an unspecified type, figure out what the type is, and check if I cast this to sphere, do I get null pointer? And now I can do crash protection, which I have to do on a periodic basis. And when a crash would have previously occurred, which you saw periodically the thing was disappearing, instead of crashing, I can now very gracefully implement the solution. And the solution for when a crash occurs is over here. Let me find the word fix here. So I'm basically determining when a crash would have occurred, when the shapes randomly go invalid, and I do the repair, which is just to recreate the physics state of the component, which recreates the shape and everything is fine again. Now, if you find when you are using my plugin that, actually I guess I should show this in blueprints. If you find that when you're using my plugin that update rate is too slow, and sometimes you're having, there's moments when the collision doesn't seem to work, rather than email me, I suggest you look at this video and observe the fact that I'm specifically telling you there's a frequency rate here, this variable. Max frequency of repairs, it's 0.1 seconds by default. You saw the thing happening periodically, it was flickering and coming on and off. This is the update rate. You can make this smaller. If you make it 0.01 seconds, I'll fix it more frequently. But I didn't make it 0.01 initially during testing because my initial fixes weren't working and I didn't want to slow everything down. So I think 0.01 is good enough, but in your own gameplay testing, let me know. Keep in mind, the Chaos engine itself is still in beta in UE5. It's not fully done. It is not working correctly either. So there is going to be some period of time where you're going to have to work with me on the fact that the Chaos engine itself is still in beta. And if things don't work, refer to this video, understand what's happening, and know that my only alternative to letting you participate in this process was to not update the plugin at all. I figured you'd rather have the plugin and understand what's going on, rather than just have me not give the plugin until they fix the engine. I can't wait for them to fix the Chaos engine. I wanted to give you the plugin now. So, the thing to note is you will see this interesting event under Components here. If you scroll down, you're going to see this event. You're used to this one, the hit event, but there's also Chaos Engine event, which has a nice, lovely description there for you. And you can implement this event, and you can do something like I'm doing, spawn an emitter, send yourself a message, do whatever you want to know when the fix is occurring. Notice it happens every time on game start because I don't attach the weapon inside of the blueprint deliberately for testing purposes. By the way, just for giggles, one of the hardest things updating was getting, you see how the capsule is traveling even though I'm scaling, rotating, doing all this? Oh my good heavens, the process of getting that set up was complicated. I could actually show you really quickly. Again, I love showing you the code because the more you understand the code, the more you know how wonderful C++ is, especially Unreal Engine C++. So the secret was there's this thing called capsule axis. The new Chaos engine has its own shapes, and one of the shapes is a capsule with its own unique implementation of what a capsule is, and instead of get rotation, it's get axis. You have to take the axis and turn it into a quaternion and multiply that by the global translation in order to get the rotation. So if you're doing your own Chaos engine work, I think you'll find this part extremely helpful. I do give you the whole code, and if you don't do coding, I hope you like my colors and you like seeing the code because it's not that complicated. It just requires a period of learning, and then you could be doing C++ too. That's how I started. We all got to start sometime, and so just thought you might find that especially interesting. As to how I got the actual transformation working, but note it's not attached initially, and then I attach during runtime because I'm testing this bug, which is that during attachment process, see weld, somehow the shapes don't update properly and I have to recreate the physics state myself or nothing works. See, there again, you can see that randomly it all went invalid and then it recreated itself. So if you ever see this while you're using my plugin, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about it. It's not me. It's the Chaos engine. Do you want the plugin or not? That's all I can do is tell you what the problem is. I can't do any better because I'm not going to do a custom engine version for just this plugin. I don't know what's going on under the hood. See there again. See? What did I do? All I did was jump. I didn't do anything. Something is wrong in the Chaos engine, maybe because I'm accessing the shapes, I'm not sure. I don't know for sure. I suspect, because this problem hasn't been detected already, that or it has and no one said anything about it, that maybe the issue is that get shapes, I'm just finding the code for you, maybe this is somehow changing the data. This should be read-only, but it's not, because sometimes it seems to upset the other thread, the physics thread, the chaos thread, and then the shapes go invalid. I think because I need to access the shapes on a frequent basis, that's why the invalidation is occurring, even though it should be a read-only event. I don't know. All I know is if you want the plugin, you're going to see this, and I suggest you implement the event in your own project that I showed you. I suggest you implement this event and look at it yourself and look at when it happens. Maybe you can tell me why it's happening. I can't make it stop. I can't fix it. It's Chaos Engine code. It's still in beta. Whoever wrote it should hopefully see this video and try to help me figure out what the problem is, or look at my code and my solution and understand what's going on. I had to turn this into an execute write, because if there's a problem during, if my validity test does not pass, which is over here, right, because I have to access the shape, when I run my validity test, if it doesn't work, then I recreate the physics state. And recreating the physics state is the most powerful write there is, right? You're recreating the entire shapes under the hood. So that's why it's a, let me find command here. That's why it's a write operation, not a read operation. For your information, I'm doing only read-only things. All I'm doing is getting the shapes. That's supposed to be read-only. But it's not working somehow. Something, I have no other way to get the shapes. I don't know. All I know is that this is the best I can do under the current conditions, and I know many of you wanted your project updated to UE5. I know many of you know that the Chaos Engine is not fully done yet, and I'm participating. So this is kind of a plugin in beta, because the engine I'm working with is in beta. See, there's the per bone accuracy head, right, versus calf muscle here, arm, no, chest, oh, spine. I got the spine that time. Also, you can tell which shapes you want to not do damage here. See, I hit the shield, I cause no reaction at all. So it's in beta. This is the best I could do, and I hope you enjoy. And so when you see that weird little spark event happen, if you ever do a swing and randomly nothing happens, that's what's going on under the hood. You can reduce the frequency and hopefully accelerate things. One other point of great interest is if you right-click Miscellaneous and go to Data Asset, there's two data assets I've created for you, Melee Weapon Data and All Weapon Data, and these allow you to create just a series of informations about each weapon you want, and then have only a single component, so that inside of your character class you only have a single weapon, a component, right? Because you don't, for 100 weapons you don't want 100 components. Then I wrote code for you under the hood called set Rama Melee Weapon, which takes a data asset, and the data asset internally has a structure which contains information. If you don't want to use snap to target and a socket, I do give you the option of using a relative transform instead. Then you would want to use keep relative instead of snap to target. That's your choice. And of course, you need the damage map to update. I update that in C++ for you. So this the end result of this is then with an all weapons data asset, you can just list every weapon. If any weapon ever goes out of rotation within your game project, then you can just remove it here. And then all you have to do for every character blueprint who wants the full set of weapons, at least technically available, maybe they haven't unlocked the weapon yet, but you want them to have the data, all of the data available, there it is, all weapons data, just one variable. Now you can figure out exactly what the index is of each weapon and access it, and then if you ever change your weapons on rotation, note that all your indices will change. You might want to do a mapping of names of weapons to indices or something, but that was a little too low level for me. It's something you have to decide at a project level. The array of all data assets, you access whichever one you want, and then I set the thing. Alright, so that is the basics of the new features. There's one other new feature, which is here. you'll see a variable for here, hit events, include initial overlaps during swing start. This defaults to false because I want it to be consistent with the UE4 version of the plugin. But I recommend you turn this on because many people requested it and see what happens. You might find that really fast swings that only connected during swing start may now work. If, you know, during really fast swings. For slower swings, if it just happened to be that the animation swing start didn't happen, the notify didn't happen until you were already within the character, right? You're swinging close and then the red starts, but only it's already in the character, and then it leaves and nothing happens. See, there again. What did I do? I didn't do anything. All I did was swing. I'm just swinging the weapon, and randomly it went invalid. It's completely random. That smacks to me of a threading issue. And the fact that retrieving the shapes must be destabilizing the other thread data. That's all I can think of. This get shapes thing, this has to be destabilizing the other thread somehow, even though it shouldn't be. I think it is. Because the only thing I'm doing is I'm continuously drawing the shapes, which means I'm constantly reading them. And sometimes that's triggering the whole state of the weapon to go invalid, and then I detect it and recreate it for you. The alternative is that I don't... well, there is no alternative because I have to access the shapes when you swing. But if you're not drawing the shapes in-game like I'm doing right now, probably it'll happen less often, right? Like if you're doing just normal playtime, probably you won't see this. And when I just changed state, it happened again. So this is a Chaos Engine bug. Do you want the plugin? Here's the current state of the Chaos Engine. That's all I can do for you. And I'll happily work with Epic or anyone who wants to figure out what's going on the other thread, but I can't do any better because I can't get access to the shapes unless I call this function. And calling this function seems to periodically, in very unpredictable multi-thread issue-like fashion memory issues, sometimes cause all the shapes to go invalid. And that's why I then have to do this. I have to recreate the physics state to bring everything back. That's the best I can do. Welcome to UE5 Chaos Engine, still in beta, and I thought you'd want to get rolling with your project and know that if you ever do a swing and nothing happened, it's not my fault, okay? I did the best I could, and it's an aspect of the physics engine. Okay. Well, now that that's out of the way, I hope you enjoy being able to rapidly switch between weapons and have it never crash like it was doing for me for 48 hours until I fixed the issue. Now you can have 100 weapons easily, and note that you can have the custom handle positions using the socket on the weapon, right? Snap to socket, and yeah. Oh, and if you ever want to turn these numbers off because you don't need to see them anymore, isn't there just something cool about having the numbers travel with the... I just love how they travel in 3D. It just looks cool to me. That's a draw debug string. It's so I don't know why I like numbers moving in 3D space so much. I guess that's all of what games are, right? It's just a bunch of numbers moving around in 3D space. Yes, I'm in a good mood because I finally got this plugin working in UE5. I had to rewrite the entire code base. There's no physX left. It's all gone. I'll prove it to you. Ready? Here, watch this. Ready to gasp and shock? Here. Physics is not included. It's just the Chaos Engine. See? Hushed gasp. Hands to mouth. Is it truly possible? Apparently it is. Another funny thing for you, which you'll probably enjoy, is that transitioning to the UE5 include set, there's a single include for the whole Chaos Engine. It's just this one thing, and that's all the code. I turn this off because I'm not using the physics anymore. So that's everything from code to blueprints, and I give you the sample project. Here's the draw debug string. If you ever want to turn this off, you can go to your component and you'll see draw shape indices. That's this, okay? You just turn that off when you don't need to test anymore. But I like seeing it so much, it hurts to turn it off because there's something too great to me about numbers moving around in 3D space mapped to individual shapes of a physics asset. Oh, I dig it. It's so great. So overall, my opinion of UE5 is the best engine ever. I love the geometry editing tool. UE5 is definitively my favorite engine, but as you just saw that extra spark? I didn't do anything, Epic. I just swang the thing. Is swang a word? I swung the weapon. I just swang the weapon, Epic. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what's going on. I just know that I think the fact that I'm constantly drawing I'm constantly accessing the shapes is causing some kind of problem. I have to make this an entertaining video, right? REV, Rama Entertainment Video. So, I don't know what else to say. Just do the event yourself, see when it happens, report to me your findings, and we'll work together with Epic to fix it. And pretty soon, this issue will be no more. Probably because I'm putting this video out publicly. Pretty soon, this issue will be solved. So, Epic's working hard on Chaos Engine. It will be fixed, I'm sure. Hopefully, my research will make it easier for them to fix this issue. I only know the solution. I don't know the problem, which is helpful at least, and that's the best I can do without doing a custom engine version. But again, UE5, best engine ever in my opinion. The combination of features in UE5, it's literally the evolution of game engines. So I hope you enjoy the new organizational system. I give you this project as I mentioned so you can see everything that's going on, and I can't wait to converse with you about anything to do with UE5 in the forums, or you can email me, or if you figure out what the issue is with the Chaos Engine thing I'm describing, please let me know. And all together, we're going to continue to have UE5 take over the industry. The best engine there's ever been. You heard it from me. It's the truth. Enjoy.